All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're tackling a major transformation happening in India's development strategy, this whole concept of women-led development. Now, this is more than just a simple policy tweak. It's actually a fundamental shift in governance. And it's something you really need to grasp to understand where India is heading today.
So, what's at the heart of this new approach? Well, it's a huge evolution in thinking. We're moving away from seeing women as just passive recipients of welfare programs, the development for WIMS model. Instead, the focus is now on recognizing women as active agents of change, as the actual drivers of economic and social progress. The conversation isn't just about giving access to services anymore. It's about empowering women to lead, to innovate, and to really take the reins in shaping India's growth story.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll start by digging into what this paradigm shift really means, and then we'll look at the constitutional and legal backbone that supports it. After that, we'll get into the specifics, the key initiatives that are making this happen on the ground. Then we'll check out the data to see how we can measure the impact. And finally, we'll tie it all together with the bigger vision of a developed India, or Viksit Bharat. All right, to really get a handle on this shift, we've got to start with the foundations. The empowerment of women in India isn't built on thin air. It's firmly anchored in the country's constitutional and legal bedrock.
Right from the very beginning, the Constitution of India laid down some key guarantees. And here's a prelims focus for you. It's absolutely crucial to remember the establishment of the right to equality and universal adult franchise. These weren't afterthoughts, they were there from day one. This ensured that women had an equal say in the democratic process right from the start, which is pretty remarkable when you think about the long, drawn-out battles for suffrage that happened in so many other parts of the world.
Okay, so building on those fundamental constitutional rights, there's also a really robust legal architecture. A key piece of this puzzle is the POSH Act from 2013, the Protection of Women from Sexual Harassment Act. Now, this law isn't just about protection. It goes a step further by actively reinforcing that constitutional right to dignity, especially in the workplace. And it does this by setting up very clear systems of accountability for employers.
So, with that legal framework firmly in place, the big question becomes, how do you translate all these rights into real, tangible opportunities? This is where the focus shifts to implementation. A multi-pronged action agenda has been put into motion to create a whole ecosystem for what we call Nari Shakti.
This institutional framework really shows you just how comprehensive the whole approach is. We're not talking about a random collection of separate schemes here. Instead, it's a carefully designed structure built on 5 interconnected pillars: financial inclusion, livelihoods, health, education, and of course, safety. The keyword here is synergy. They're all designed to work together to create a truly supportive environment for empowerment.
Let's look at that first pillar, financial inclusion. The whole goal here is to bring women into the formal economy. And how is that done? Well, through a few key types of schemes. You've got schemes for access to credit, like the Mudra Yojana for women entrepreneurs. Then there are schemes that encourage long-term savings, like the Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana for a girl-child's future. And finally, schemes that create a crucial financial safety net, like the PMMWV, which provides maternity benefits.
Okay, on to the second pillar, which is all about women-led livelihoods and entrepreneurship. The big idea here is economic self-reliance. The main way this is done is by promoting entrepreneurship and building skills, especially through the vast network of self-help groups under the DAY NRLM program. But what's also really interesting are the newer initiatives like Lakpati Didi and Namo Drone Didi, which are specifically designed to open up income opportunities in new and emerging sectors.
Our third pillar gets to a fundamental aspect of life: health and nutrition. And these programs are really smart because they take a life cycle approach. So you have schemes like the Janani Suraksha Yojana and the PMSMA, which are focused on ensuring safe motherhood. At the same time, Mission Poshan 2.0 is tackling the critical issue of malnutrition for children, adolescent girls, and pregnant women. It's all about building a healthy foundation for the future. Next up is the fourth pillar, education and skill development. And you could argue this is the most critical one for unlocking potential. The Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao initiative is a huge, comprehensive effort to tackle gender-biased sex selection and really push for girls' education. And it doesn't stop there. This is supported by things like the Pragati Scholarship Scheme for technical education, which directly paves the way for greater participation in the workforce.
And finally, we have the fifth pillar, safety, protection, and institutional support. Because let's be real, none of the other pillars can stand strong without a safe environment. It's the bedrock. Mission Shakti acts as a big umbrella scheme here, bringing together things like one-stop centers and women helplines to create a single, integrated system for care and protection.
Okay, so we've walked through this pretty comprehensive framework, but the big question is, how do we know if it's actually making a difference? This is where measuring the impact becomes so important. We need to move beyond just talking about policy goals and look at the real, tangible outcomes. And for that, we need to dive into the data.
So let's start with political participation. And here's a definite prelims focus for you. As of today, there are over 47 crore registered women voters in India. Just let that number sink in. This isn't just a statistic, it represents a massively powerful electoral force. Their voices and their priorities are now in a position to increasingly shape public debate and ultimately government policy.
Here's another critical metric, and this is also a prelims focus. It's all about financial commitment. How do we measure it? Through something called gender budgeting. This is basically a powerful tool that lets us break down the national budget and see exactly what portion of it is specifically impacting women. And for the latest financial year, that number hit a record high, 5.01 lakh crore rupees allocated for gender-focused programs.
This chart here really helps put that huge number into perspective. That gender budget now makes up 9.37% of the entire union budget. But what's really telling is that 53 different ministries and 5 union territories are part of this. And that's the key takeaway. Gender isn't just the responsibility of one single ministry anymore. It's being integrated or mainstreamed across the whole machinery of government.
And this is a really important analytical point, especially for a mains answer. This kind of sustained large-scale investment, it signals a major structural shift. It's evidence that we've moved past just symbolic gestures. The principle of women-led development is now genuinely hardwired into the very process of national planning and financial allocation.
So when you take a step back and look at this entire comprehensive approach, you see it's all leading to one overarching goal, directly linking the empowerment of women, this idea of Nari Shakti, to India's biggest long-term development goals.
And this really brings us to the ultimate vision. The idea here is that empowering women is not just a matter of social justice. It's being framed as an absolutely essential ingredient, a primary engine for achieving the goal of Viksit Bharat, a developed India by 2047. In this view, you simply cannot have a developed nation without the full participation and progress of its women. The two are intrinsically linked.
Okay, to help all this information stick, let's look at a potential prelims question. This one really tests if you can tell the difference between schemes based on their main goal. The question asks which initiatives are primarily for entrepreneurship and livelihoods. The correct answer here is B. Why? Because both the Namo Drone Didi and Lakpati Didi initiatives are laser-focused on creating new income and business opportunities. The other options, you'll remember, are about savings and nutrition.
And now for a deeper dive, let's consider a possible mains question. This one asks you to critically analyze the big theme we've been discussing all along, that shift from a welfare approach to an agency-based one. To craft a strong answer here, you'd really need to bring together all the pieces. Talk about the constitutional foundation, lay out the key pillars of the action agenda we discussed, and then back it all up with the data on impact. That's how you'd build a solid, cohesive argument about whether this shift is genuinely transformative.